Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, Connor.
How you doing, Vinny Barbarino?
Hey, the hair. Why you gotta? Why you got the hair?
What? Wig?
What? The hair. Why you gotta? Gridiron 360. Week 12 NFL recap with our segment, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's fun times. Fun times. We'll jump right in. The good of this week, numero uno, when gore is good. When is gore good? I like scary movies.
It's good when the ageless wonder.
When his name is Franklin.
Franklin Gore.
Frank Gore this week proceeds to pass Barry Sanders as now the number 3 running back in the NFL for all-time yardage. Congratulations to Frank Gore. Ageless wonder is right. It seems like he's been in the NFL for like 40 years. The last time that he donned a Hurricanes jersey when he played in college seems to be eons ago. But he's still getting it done. Breaks this record this week. Barry Sanders comes out and does a little video congratulating him, which was real classy. He shows up after the game, them asking him about it, and he's, said he was blessed.
Yeah.
But, thanking not just the organization in Buffalo where he is now, but all the linemen and all the teams that he's ever played for to get him where he is. And that is just classy. That's class in my eyes, because the thankless job in the NFL is always those offensive linemen. You get the glam and the glory if you're a skill position player on offense, quarterback, running back, receiver, but you can't do those things and be so prolific without having those big uglies up front doing their thing. And real classy. Frank Gore, my hat's off to you.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, again, a Miami Hurricane, remember, this guy had a pretty significant knee injury in college. Kind of came out. He's never really had the fanfare of a lot of guys. I mean, remember, there are guys out there like LaDainian Tomlinson, who was one of the best players in football for probably 3-4 years. Running back is the most brutal position to play in the NFL. His longevity deserves a lot of respect, and I know he's not blowing it up this year, but he just continues to show up and just get it done. I mean, I remember saying 6-7 years ago when he was playing, years when he played with like the Niners, and you're like, wow, I can't believe this guy's still getting it done. And he does. And make no mistake, I mean, when you look at the top 4 running backs in NFL history as far as yards, you've got Emmitt Smith, who's got had longevity, ran behind a great offensive line for several years with Dallas. You got Walter Payton, sweetness. I mean, come on now. And then below him now is Barry Sanders, who might have been one of the most electrifying runners ever to run in football. And then you mix in a guy like Frank Gore. He's kind of a surprise name, I think, with most people. And It just speaks to who he is. And I got to say this, always done it with class. Never hear a peep out of this dude. Never hear him complain, I don't get mine. And this is a guy that's kind of moved around on teams. So amazing accomplishment. Congrats to you, Frank. Even though you are part of the U, you're the man.
Yep. So let's jump into number 2. Our number 2 of the day comes from Sunday Night Football. A couple of acquisitions that the Green Bay Packers made in the offseason to the defense, which have really, really shown their stripes. And even though the Packers lost to the 49ers pretty badly Sunday night, these guys definitely showed up. And that's Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. The Smiths.
Zadarius from the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
Moved over.
Mr. Smith. So, our number 2 of the day goes to Zadarius Smith. And so the backstory on this is there is a equipment manager for the team that whose mother is sick. I'm not sure if she has cancer. I would assume so. Maybe even the breastish kind, based on what happened. But Zadarius Smith had told him that if he gets a sack in the game, he's going to flash a little something that he put on his undershirt. He got a sack early in the game and comes out, lifts up his jersey, and on the white undershirt it says, "We love Eileen." And that was paying tribute to this equipment staff member's mom who's sick. So our number 2 of the good of the day goes out to Zadarius Smith with his really fantastic tribute. Obviously, he would have had to have gotten a sack in the game to make this happen. Happened early.
But went out with a purpose.
And it worked. You know, I mean, it's just, I like seeing this. It's a feel-good. Kind of liken it to when Deshaun Watson came into the NFL. His first game check he ever got, he gave to some of the Latino staff members that worked in the cafeteria or what have you. You know, just thinking
appreciating people that don't get any appreciation.
Right. Thinking of other than yourself, people that are just no names, pawns, you know, in the whole organization. But, you know, you need these pieces in order to make organizations run. Every piece is important. And, you know, just a great thing. Just a great thing. I loved seeing it. And really, once it happened, I knew right in there it was going to definitely make the good list for the week.
Yep, absolutely.
Number 3 of the day. And this kind of comes off in my mind to one of our uglies last week was Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback of the Washington Redskins, pleading with his offensive line, "What can I do to help you? What can I do to help? Please tell me, what can we do to get better?" And them kind of shrugging him off. This is the flip of that. Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal this year.
Yep.
Fantastic. And this, which I'll share, is a video I took myself. I rewound the TV. At the end of the game, Robert Griffin comes in because the game was already done at quarterback. And Lamar Jackson's on the sideline, you know, hooping it up, talking with the folks. And one of his big white guy O-linemen comes over, gives him the old hand slap. "Hey, great game, you know, basically like, you're the man, thank you." And Lamar looks at him, and you can't hear it, but you can see him mouth the words, "Oh, no, I owe y'all." And then he repeats it, and he looks over out of the left of his eye, "I owe y'all." This is a young guy who everybody's screaming for him for the MVP. Again, those big uglies, they go unnoticed. But for a rookie in all of the hoopla, and you saw it on the field, I worried that it might be getting too much to his head. But this made me think, you know, this kid is a little more grounded. For him to go over there and that was it, man. I mean, that's it. That is the epitome of the right character you should have.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why it's easy to cheer for him. I mean, when you watch the kid play, he's having fun.
He
and
is
for all
having
of us,
fun. He's smiling. He's having a great time.
Yeah, you see him. He's dancing on the sidelines, but he doesn't come across ever as arrogant. And you can tell why, because he's not. And that is, like you said, he's got the world by the short and curlies right now, and he doesn't forget who makes it happen for him. It's a reason why you're going to like this guy for a long time. Again, a reason why I want him to protect himself, because I want to watch this guy play for a long, long time, because he's on a different plane. But to remember the other players and understand that in the NFL, and the Haskins is the antithesis of this, is when guys don't believe in you and you don't have that team mentality and that I'm going to war with you. But how you create that is when the greatest player on your team plays and acts selflessly. And that, I will say, in the good, what we just really, if we could sum it up in one word, we talked about humility. And in a look at me world that we're in,
character.
Yeah, these are character guys. And I do want to throw out a little honorable mention. I already posted it on Facebook, but DeAndre Hopkins, cool thing. If you don't know, his mother is blind, and I don't know. They didn't mention in the kind of the little tagline whether she's been blind her whole life.
No,
or not.
she is not.
Not.
No, she is not. She had an accident when I think before he went to Clemson.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was like acid or something got in her eye. She was not. No, I
Okay.
know
All
that
right.
for sure.
All right, but she hasn't seen him. Literally hasn't seen him play in the pros, but she goes to his games every time this guy scores a touchdown. He finds his mom in the front row and gives her the football. It's guys like this. It's why we celebrate more of this when all you see on social media, all you see in the news is all the crap that guys with bad character do. But the truth is this stuff's going on all over the place, and they don't do it to make a big, you had to catch Lamar Jackson with your phone seeing this thing.
The media didn't,
yeah.
and a lot of the stuff I post off The Good, Bad, and the Ugly has come from Bleacher Report, CBS, ESPN, things that, get a little notification on my phone. I'll take a look, and it's a video or a story that was cool or not or just alarming. This wasn't one of those.
No.
I caught it myself at the end of the game late last night at just before 11, and I saw it immediately. I was actually watching the end of the game in the bed because the game was at hand. I immediately hopped out of the bed, grabbed the remote control, and, thank goodness for DVR and being able to rewind and pause stuff because I rewound it, pulled the phone up, hit video, and started recording, and I will share it with you. But the media, I didn't see it from. Maybe it'll come out, but this is something that needs to be praised. It needs to be highlighted. It needs to be glorified. Because of exactly what you said. There's so much negative stuff that comes out with social.
Yeah, just cool stuff all the way around. Class. Just a lot of class out there in the NFL. We want to recognize it. That's why good is first. It's plain and simple. We know that there's a bad and an ugly, and those generally aren't good. We use a lot of that to talk.
Come first? Bad no first?
No, good.
No for bad.
No, good.
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 Okay.
And this is why we watch in an era where honestly I choose not to really learn much about the individuals and just watch the sport because sometimes there's so much bad. It's nice when you get to appreciate guys. It's the things like what Watts does, what Breeze has done, just guys around the NFL doing really cool things. So great stuff on the good, man. We got some really, really good ones this week.
Yes, we did. But I like the bad.
Now the bad is going to be more about the sport of football.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it where we need to be.
All right, number one bad this week. Quarterback terrible is what I have on my board.
Woo.
Quarterback terrible.
We had a lot of people on this list.
So some terrible quarterback play, and really, to be honest with you, it's from all veterans. These are not rookies.
Yep.
We've talked about they are not who we thought they were with the rookies or younger quarterbacks being drafted very high and them not. This is, some of those definitely can make the list. The list we got here is not those.
Yep.
Who made this bad quarterback play? And look, this is a critical time of year. And for two of these three quarterbacks I see on this list, you're talking about teams that are,
in it
for the playoffs and
beyond.
And beyond, and trying to get home field advantage, get a bye, just make the playoffs. But even if you're just making going in, on track on a high note, and not so much. Who we got, Dave?
Well, number one on this list is one you definitely don't expect to see. There was a storyline to go with this that just didn't make sense, but yet it happened. And that is AR-12. Aaron Rodgers heading back to California, play in front of maybe some family members. Well, of course, he's got some family issues, so maybe not as many family members. But
they don't like him so much.
Yeah, there's not a good.
They didn't like when he was. I think it was that whole thing. He was dating
Olivia Munn.
He was dating the Munn, who I'll be honest, I think she's so hot.
Yes,
I love Munn. I'll have some Munn. What would you like? I'll have a glass of water and some Munn.
Yeah, this was a game ready-made for Aaron Rodgers. Their offense has been pretty explosive, but it's been, I would say, it's not been predictable like it's been in the past. I mean, generally, for the Packers, for a vast majority of Aaron Rodgers' career is rested on his arm in every single game. There are games where he has not thrown a touchdown pass and they've blown teams out. Aaron Jones had a 4-touchdown game. I mean, they've just been able to do it in a multitude of ways. They were unable to get the ground game really going. But Aaron Rodgers, 20 for 33 and only 104 yards passing. Thankfully, he got one touchdown pass to Devontae Adams. to make it where the stat line wasn't there, but in a game where he truly had to show up, he did not. So he's numero uno on our QB terrible. Who is number 2?
Well, he got taken out of this game. He didn't even get to finish it. And though they've had a pretty decent year, maybe surprising by some folks' standards for the Oakland Raiders, he hasn't done anything Superman-ish, nothing flashy, but
been very effective.
He's been very effective and has been getting it done, and that is Mr. Derek Carr. This week, against a Jets team that I still don't think is very good. I think what's good about them is their defense, so that's hard. Oakland did have to go west to east in this. Not so much. Not getting it done. Terrible stat line. No TDs. Threw a pick. Really, it was not even the statistics. Take him out of that. It was just the offense did nothing. And he's the quarterback, and he needs to command that offense, as all quarterbacks do. And especially with this team. They got a lot of pieces on it that can be very effective, but really are only effective if he's playing effective.
Yep.
And it was awful to the point where Gruden benched him for the neck, like Glennon, who not a good look, Derek Carr, not a good look, Raiders. You're not going to get anywhere with the neck, okay?
And this is probably the first game where they've shut down Josh Jacobs, and you expect a veteran quarterback to be able to offset some, especially
Correct.
against a bad team.
Yeah.
And, man, they laid an egg. Now, again, they came across the country. Could be a little bit of an aberration as far as the offense is concerned, but still, nonetheless, this is a game that was critical for them, and they tripped.
Well, look, for all intents and purposes, Carr will be back at the helm this week and should be starting the rest of the year. But this just goes to show you, I mean, that's old school coaching mentality there. Like, Gruden had enough.
Yep.
And he's not afraid to take
He'll make strong moves.
Even if it means having the neck go out there and lead the team at quarterback.
And if you watched Hard Knocks, Gruden doesn't love the neck.
No, he doesn't love the neck.
Doesn't love the neck.
So
it's saying something.
He liked what's his face from
Nate Peterman.
Nate Peterman more, who's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah.
So I expect Carr to get back to the helm, but he better get his head on straight. And get these pieces he has involved.
Yep.
I don't necessarily want to go to as far as calling them weapons yet, but getting the pieces involved. We do have one more quarterback on this list, and the interception tracker for him now ticks at 19 for the season.
Is that like Santa's tracker?
That's it. With the season upon us, ho, ho, ho. Look, we talk about him a lot, and it's boom or bust sometimes with him, and his job really is on the line here. Rookie contract coming to fruition. What will Tampa Bay do with Jameis Winston?
Yeah, here's the best way I can describe Jameis Winston. I'm going to dog a guy that actually was a pretty good quarterback and had some pretty good stats. But you've heard the poor man's comment, right? Jameis Winston to me is not the poor man's. He's the homeless man's Tony Romo. Tony Romo could play great in the regular season, but when he got in the playoffs, when he was bad, he was catastrophically bad.
Oh, yeah.
Jameis Winston does that in the regular season on the regular, where you watch games and you go, man, I could see where this guy could be all pro. And then you see him play the next game and the game after that, and you go, how does this guy get a uniform? And once again, Jameis has done that. He cannot control his turnovers, as you earmarked, with 19 picks on the year. And nobody's surprised. Like, that's the crazy part. No one is surprised by this. And it just, what a nightmare this guy has become. Played a pretty poor Falcons team. They have played well the last couple of weeks, but even still, the guy is just cannot get out of his own way. This is a guy probably, we talk about those guys like we were talking about Lamar and a guy that's riding high. I mean, remember, Jameis Winston was a redshirt freshman, came in, led Florida State and destroyed everyone up until the title game and led him to a national championship. And then he kind of got that I'm the man mentality, and he had to grow up a lot in 4 or 5 years. But in that time, his skills as a football player have not. And, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Unfortunately, there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. I would not be shocked to see Jameis starting for somebody, probably in kind of a bridge deal. And that's frightening because this guy, he's going to give the ball up. And he fumbles, too. Let's not even kid ourselves. It's not like he just throws picks. That guy fumbles, too, all the time. What a nightmare. Awful. And they won.
Well, if worse comes to worse, there's a job waiting for him in the meat and seafood section at Publix.
Well, he might eat all the profits.
Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, let's move off of these terrible quarterbacks play into number 2 for the bad of the week. And if you saw this, because it really happened a little bit during the game, they didn't highlight it too much, even though you did see Marcus Peters, but more so after the game and post-game off the field. In the Baltimore Ravens LA Rams Monday Night Football game, former LA Ram Marcus Peters, who's now with Baltimore, had a great night, mind you, had a pick off of his former team. During the game, you could see him on the sideline, literally, and we all know Jalen Ramsey and his mouth and the way he carries himself and his arrogance. It's just part of who he is, his intimidation in his mouth when he gets on the field. Yep. He is that person even when he's not on the field, obviously. But you could see Marcus Peters on the Baltimore sideline chirping, particularly at Ramsey, trying to get him riled up. He had his tongue like waving back and forth, flapping around. And then after the game is when things really got heated. Marcus Peters was obviously, like I said, former LA Rams, so he had a lot of friends on the team. He's hugging his friends. And
in fairness, understand, I don't think Jalen Ramsey was the guy he could goat because he knew he could, because you're never gonna get the last word with Jalen Ramsey, even when he loses. So he knew he was gonna get him going. But understand, Marcus Peters was, in essence, dumped so they could get Jalen Ramsey. They dumped him. Yep. And he's put, 2 to the house so far so this season, a bunch of picks.
Since he's been there,
their defense has turned around since he's
one of the big
there.
reasons why. He's been kind of a linchpin back there, because it's not just him. All the guys on that, Marlon Humphrey, all the guys on that defense are really starting to step up. But he's kind of been like this linchpin and has been like this. He's been firing them up much. Not just on his own, he's getting fired up and getting them fired up, much like Ramsey does, but more so on his own for the Rams. So anyways, after the game, Peters is hugging some of his old teammates on the Rams, and Jalen Ramsey starts walking back in that direction. And so Marcus Peters obviously, notices him and starts barking at him.
They have to be separated.
Yeah, apparently it looked like that, Ramsey said something back, and then they were separated and went back to the locker room. And then as they're back going into the locker room in the tunnel, Marcus Peters is clearly still fired up, and there's Ramsey coming out, and they start getting into like this expletive tirade.
Yeah.
So look, first of all, game's over, okay? Game is over. It's like I said it before about Jalen Ramsey. I feel like, I get it on the field, but he doesn't take that hat off the field. It's like when I was in high school, I played football and I also did drama. And if you knew any kids in high school that did drama, there was always a few of those kids that they never turned it off. Like felt like they were on stage and always over dramatic, just as their personality. It's like, you don't need to do that. You actually kind of silly. That's kind of what I like in Ramsey. It's like, you could do that on the field, and when you get off, you can turn it off and be a normal human being. But that's just not who he is. And here's the other thing. Look, Jalen, you guys got smoked. For once in your life, just tuck your tail between your legs and walk away, because what do you have to say? You're not playing against Marcus Peters. He's on the same side of the ball as you are.
Yeah, but hold on. Let's just – I had no problems with this going on. I like it. You are never, and this is what makes Jalen Ramsey, in my mind, the best corner in football. He is. I'm just sorry, game in, game out, because he backs it up. So and Jalen Ramsey didn't start this based off all the clips that I've seen, but I also have no problems with Marcus Peters earns the right. Now, his beef is really with the Rams, but Jalen Ramsey has to be the target because understand, it's a respect thing. Marcus Peters was dumped for Jalen Ramsey, so he's going to get in Ramsey's ear. I don't really have a problem with this either way. Cooler heads have to prevail, but when it comes down to it, Jalen Ramsey goes out there, and one thing I will say about him, and I've known this guy watching him play all the way through Florida State, while he doesn't have an off switch for his mouth, he also doesn't have an off switch for his game.
That's true.
He shows up all game long. So I don't really have an issue with it either way.
So going into the game yesterday, my thoughts are they're going to put him on Marquise Brown, on Hollywood Brown. Okay? Hollywood Brown had 2 touchdowns and then some. And when I was watching it, it wasn't Jalen Ramsey. So Jalen had a good day. You know why? Because he pretty much probably covering mostly Mark Andrews,
right?
But pretty much took that whole tight end game that they do rely a lot on.
3 tight end
out
sets
of it.
a lot, yeah.
Now, I think what helped them, one, was Hollywood Brown having a good day through the air, but 2 was Mark Ingram, and really the whole backfield when they got in there were running with
including
authority.
the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
So that offset the importance of that tight end game that they run with Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst, and Boyle. It was Jalen Ramsey that pretty much shut that whole thing down, starting with Mark Andrews, who didn't do much, and he was really not seeing any of the game. Certainly didn't score, and certainly wasn't there to make a play in a critical situation. He wasn't needed, but he wasn't there to either because Jalen Ramsey took it out.
And understand something. The difference to me between Deion Sanders was one of the best cover corners, if not the best, ever in the game. But Deion Sanders also never tackled anybody above the ankles.
Oh, this guy?
Jalen Ramsey will go nose to nose with anybody. He doesn't care how big you are, and he is a true thumper. But he can run with you. So his ability to do that makes Jalen Ramsey is worth it. Not everybody likes his talking, but Marcus Peters had the right to do what he did.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
But you're right. It was not. He was an easy target, but it was really more.
The
towards
Rams are the ones that bailed on him.
Yeah. So it does make our number 2 bad of the day, just because
Maybe
you know.
It's badass.
Yeah, because it's in my mind because it's after the game and these guys have nothing to do with each other on the field technically. But you're right. It could also be badass.
Yeah.
Don't think we're like
Always
tools
bad.
here. We like to see it. We like to see it. So let's jump to number 3 on the bad. The offensive offense in Chicago. You watched most of the game, even though it did involve. This was a head-to-head between Dave and I. My New York Giants, his Chicago Bears. I was jawing at him before the game, talking some smack, saying we're going to win one. I'm not mad that we didn't because that still puts us right in the running for the Chase Young Bowl. But I was actually at a junior football game with my kids, and you were watching the game. So why don't you go ahead and run down why it's an offensive offense in Chicago?
All right. These are 2 bad teams, just plain and simple. The Giants, the way I look at it going in this game is the Giants might have a good quarterback. Still some time needs to play out. He's certainly had some flashes where he's looked pretty good in Daniel Jones. I'm not even going to dwell on the Bears Trubisky situation. Everybody knows what's going on there. But these 2 offenses, watching them,
Painful?
Very inept. Now, I want to say this. Trubisky played.
Was it painful?
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
It was painful.
I'm really asking.
Yeah, well, it was.
Did it hit the painful mark?
Yeah,
because I know the defense is, your defense is certainly better than ours. And there are some pieces, but this year in particular, they haven't been that stellar, so there's nothing exciting there. But there weren't many points in the. I just was wondering.
Daniel Jones' biggest bugaboo right now. He's had a couple of bad games throwing the ball, but
Mr. Fumbles.
Yeah, leads the league in fumbling.
Bumbles and fumbles.
Yeah, he leads the league in fumbles, and Khalil Mack got to him, and he fumbled it again. But and this was one of Trubisky's better games from an eye perspective, but he still threw 2 picks, including one in the end zone. So it was just like Bears couldn't run the ball. Bears running game was terrible against a pretty weak Giants defense. Trubisky was a little bit more even, but still had, the one pick in the end zone was bad. Just totally missed the safety coming over and snatched it right out of his hands. Bears offense, the Bears had last year, people probably don't know this, had the best drop pass percentage, meaning they dropped the least amount of balls. The Bears receivers have now become the worst team in the NFL at drop passes, and they continued that. Barkley, not a good game. Had a rough game against the Bears defense. But it was just ineptitude left and right. Drop pass. Barkley dropped a bad pass early on in the game that would hit him right in the hands on third down, killed him. It was literally like watching the Keystone Cops. It was. And the only thing the Giants have going for them versus the Bears is the difference is the Giants' window is not open yet, whereas the Bears is closing because of that, the money they've spent on defense. So the Giants, I think, are in a better position, but they are missing a lot of pieces on defense and receiver-wise.
Like I
still
said,
got some
that's
challenges.
why I had talked with my dad who's overseas this morning, and he's like, "Well, we wouldn't want an offensive lineman in the draft. Right now we're sitting at 2 behind Cincinnati, and they need a quarterback. And yes, we need offensive linemen, but need I remind you, not even a rookie cycle has gone by, and he's not even with us anymore, that we spend an early first-round draft pick on Mr. Eric Flowers from Miami, offensive lineman.
Plays like a flower.
How did that work out? And the difference here is that you can it can be hit and miss on linemen, okay?
But you can also get him in the 3rd and 4th round.
Yes, you can, and coach
this
him up.
defense wants Chase Young.
We need Chase Young is, I would say, 99% guaranteed to be a good piece for you. I will go as far
I'll
as
go 99.999.
Thank you. Thank you, because this guy is a game changer. He's got all the tools. He's got the size. He's got the strength. He's got the speed. You talk about
Hand play.
You talk about a guy like Lamar Jackson. This is a guy that can change a game in a game like with Lamar Jackson to whereas the offense, whereas you look at the Ravens, defenses seriously have to try to figure out what they're going to do against them, and they just do their thing.
Yep.
And they don't worry about having to scheme against what kind of defense they're going to see. They make the defense scheme to them. This is a guy that you will have to take account of, and if you have him on the defensive side of the ball. I'm sorry. He is Let's go. Go ahead. I told my dad this morning, I hate to say it, maybe we might need to tank the rest of the year because we have the Eagles twice, which we should lose those. But we do have the Dolphins at home, and we do have the Redskins, and those could be toss-ups. We should just throw it. We should throw it. So, anyways, we'll move
Tank
on.
for Chase.
Yeah, man. Tank for the young.
So bad football game, but because we're both fans of our teams going at it, and there was nothing to be fanatic about in this game, we threw it up there on the bad.
That's right. Let's move on to the ugly.
Woo!
You go first.
All right, number 1 on this list. All things Garrett. Remember we had the Allen brothers as a good a while back.
Oh yeah, the Allens.
This is our ugly version of the name, the Garretts. All right, I'm not going to dwell on these, but we'll start with the first one. Is Myles Garrett. Look, whether you believe him or not, bad look this week. Regardless, when he goes in for his interview appeal, and all of a sudden, it's racial. Now, I'm not going to take a side whether it was said or whether it's not, but it's a bad look for the NFL. It is potentially a bad look for Myles Garrett, depending upon who you believe. It's certainly very polarizing. That's a heavy topic in the United States.
Hold on. I know you don't want to dwell, but I do want to talk about this for a moment. Is there Mason Rudolph? Okay, his brother, we've talked about it. He plays for us at Clemson, okay? Mm-hmm. Mason Rudolph played at Okie State. Mm-hmm. He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina. He's not from out. They're not from out west. He's from South
Sure.
Carolina. At any point after you saw what happened with the helmet getting ripped off and then Barkley, and then him swinging the helmet like he did, does anybody out there did they not even for an iota think that, wow, that's pretty egregious, but what happened? Because there was no physical, so it must be what was said. Because it could have only been said. Rudolph didn't do anything to him that would have pushed him to that brink. And even if you didn't know that he was from South Carolina, is there anybody in this world that really thinks he didn't drop the N-bomb? I guarantee, and I know they said he didn't, guaranteed he did. Guaranteed. And it might, you stupid whatever, what. If you don't think that happened, then you're just being naive.
Well,
it happened. It happened. Whether they caught him for it or not, it happened.
Okay, but
the fact of the matter is that goes between black on black, or I'm sure even white on black. Look at Richie Incognito. I don't think he sometimes knows the color of his skin. Look, I'm not a racist, but this is just, this is the world we live in. I'm not naive to think that kid didn't say that. There's no way he didn't say that. What could you have said? Like, excuse my language, affect your mother last night? You think that would drive him to the point of swinging the helmet like he did?
I don't. Here's the
that
thing.
is the only thing I think he could have said.
But I will say this. I'll say it. We'll see. But here's kind of my thing. His helmet was off for a good. I'm not saying one way or the other, but just to give conflicting points of view. If you got to understand, his helmet was off, okay? He appeared to be, I don't want to say calming down, but he didn't appear like, it's not like he was swinging the helmet. Myles Garrett was swinging the helmet, and he gets up in his face. Now, understand, he had multiple cameras on him right there, and that word would be real obvious in lip reading, I think. So, and the NFL says they didn't see it. I didn't go back and look at it. What I will say this, one thing I want to post, there was a comment, and I found it very interesting. There was a like a YouTube blurb on it, and I think we'll share it. It was LeVar Arrington, Jason Whitlock, Schlereth was there, and I'm trying to think of who the fourth guy was. I can picture him, but I'm blanking on his name. Another black guy. So it was three black guys, and Schlereth was pretty quiet in this, which I think makes sense. And they argued back and forth, whether this happened or not. And I think here's the whole thing is because one of the things that Whitlock brought up, who was saying, this is a joke that it's getting brought up. And he said, I played college football. I had someone say that to me. And he goes, I went to the bus of the other team after the game, and I went to talk to other black players there. This was his comment.
Who said this?
This is Jason Whitlock. You ever seen this guy?
And this was, when did this happen?
This was after it came out. This was I'll show it on YouTube. It's
after the Steelers.
This is after the appeal. After he brought this up,
LeVar Arrington was involved, huh?
Well, in the conversation,
oh.
Yeah, they were doing like kind of a little bit of a round table, but they they're God, I'm blanking on the other guy as soon as I pull it up, but you'll see it. But anyway, it was very interesting, and what Jason Whitlock said, he argued against the point of whether he said it. He goes, wait a minute. He goes, first of all, number one, who uses that word on the football field? What color is the person that uses it? So he kind of went that route, which I was surprised that he did that. And he said, and you're telling me he said, there's all these other players around, and you're telling me the guy loses his temper and is willing to say that is not going to get found out by his teammates. And he said, I would have said something right away. He goes, I'm not buying the waiting thing. And so, again, I guess either way, you don't know. But the whole point is it's all a bad look. It's an ugly look. And I'm not going to take a stand either way. If it was said, he should have been in a hell of a lot of trouble. If it wasn't said, it's pretty weak on Myles' part. But I think either way, nobody looks good in this. Nobody. Because right now, everybody's going to take sides on something they know or didn't know happened. Regardless of your feelings on it, you don't know that it happened. You definitively don't know. And you have a feeling about it, right? And that's understandable. And I think
I just don't know.
Everybody leans
I mean, unless – I mean, I get that on the football field, and a lot of guys came out after it. Things get heated, and sometimes you're not thinking straight to justify him swinging the helmet, as egregious as it was. But unless he is, to where Antonio Brown is now, that completely has the wires crossed,
Yep.
completely like not normal, like just a crazy person. Aaron Hernandez really not there's evil inside. Okay, this guy hasn't, though he has had some dirty hits, hasn't been the Vontez Burfict of the league. He hasn't, until this situation really kind of highlighted this behavior. I still, I'm not willing to write the guy off in terms of this one thing and damn him forever. I mean, people look at Michael Vick. I mean, I think that and the circumstances are a little bit different, but he went to jail, did his time, rehabbed. I mean, he should be accepted,
Well,
if not maybe not glorified, but appreciated, for overcoming his wrongdoings and paying his dues. So, I mean, I think Garrett can do that. But if he's not just absolutely nuts, then something pushed him to that level. And
Okay,
there
but-
was
but-
no blows thrown. It was a verbal thing. And I don't know what else could push a man to go to that level except that.
Well, you don't know, but let me just say this though. Let me ask you a question. If that, and again, we're admittedly we're two white guys, so we can't sit here and say that we can understand, what that feels like. We just know that it's horrible. But let me say this to you. Do you think if you were in that scenario, and I'm just trying to use logic, if you're in that scenario, you would not have gone into the locker room when you were all fired up and said, "Can you believe that guy?" and not tell anyone, okay? Anyone, a teammate, whoever, like this guy called me the N-word, whatever the
How do you know that wasn't done?
Okay, so hear me out. So if that was done, I want to think about two press conferences that happened. You had one with your quarterback, Baker Mayfield, and you had another one with the coach. They condemned him flat out, right? Just hit him with it. If I'm a coach of a football team and I find that out, I'm going to go up to the mic and I'm going to say that behavior is inexcusable, but I want it known that there is more to this story than just guys getting fighting. Nobody backed him, but I'm just telling you, I think somebody would have had they been told. Now, is it possible nothing got said? Yeah, it is, but let's just be honest. Both situations are sketchy at best. Like, the answer one way or the other is sketchy. So anyway,
All right, who's our other? Oh, we're still on all things Garrett for our first ugly.
Yeah. So the next part of this is Jason Garrett. This guy has been probably the most protected coach in football.
Yes. Okay. Before we jump to Jason Garrett, just to coincide with the all things Garrett bad for the Myles Garrett side, if you didn't see it, and we'll share this, Browns owner Dee Haslam, who is the co-owner, she is what, the wife, daughter
Probably.
She shows up to the game this weekend.
Well, that's number 2.
No, that's the Brown fans fiesta.
Oh.
This goes more with the Garrett thing.
Okay,
She
all right.
shows up to the game this weekend wearing the little woolly cap with the bonbon on the top. And it's a Browns woolly cap, and on it is the number 95 for Myles Garrett.
Ugly. Not helping this situation die.
I just, yeah.
Just
That's
not-
it. Just let it die and move on.
There's going to be no winner no matter what happens in this, and that's kind of the problem.
Yep. All right, Jason Garrett.
So this guy has been the most protected guy. I mean, how many years have you heard is Jason Garrett going to get fired?
He's the puppet.
And Jerry Jones comes out and goes, there's no way, definitively, there's no way this guy's getting fired. Well, the tables may have turned a little bit because now, and we all know subtlety in words are very, very important when it comes to this stuff, I believe the words he used, Jerry Jones, were, "We're not going to fire our coach before the end of the year."
That's right.
So Jason Garrett may finally
I
be
think
getting held for the teams that he's had of not performing to the level of the talent on his team, and this may be happening. And even more importantly is there was a little blurb, and I want to know how you feel about this, that he could be the next Giants head coach.
There was, again, talking to my dad this morning overseas. I go, we got talking about Coach Shermer, and because he said we were talking about, we can go ahead and throw the rest of the season so we can get a shot at Chase Young in the draft. And he goes, well, the problem with that is we don't win another game. Shermer's gone for sure. I don't know if that's the case. But that led us into this conversation. I go, oh, be careful what you wish for, Dad. I know you saw it. And I didn't even have to say. He goes, oh, my God. And I said, just like I said on these mics, as long as Jason Garrett is a head coach of Dallas, what did I say?
They will win. They'll never
will
win.
Never win a Super Bowl. He is a puppet so that Jerry Jones can be the owner and coach of the team. He cannot be our head coach in New York.
I think he can.
We will never win a Super Bowl with this guy as head coach. And then my dad even proceeds to go, well, I think that Gettleman's kind of the mindset like Jerry Jones. He thinks that he wants the guy because he'd be his puppet. Gettleman is not a coach. No, he's not an owner. He's not going to be our coach. We need the right coach. No, no. That was
next coach of the New York Giants. I'd like to introduce Jason Garrett, folks. How's those season tickets feeling?
Yeah. Oh God. Let's move on.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Our number 2 ugly of the day, and golly, the Browns make 2 of the 3 uglies. So this was, I believe, pregame tailgating in the parking lot. Some of the Browns fans having a good time. They apparently must have thought it was Cinco de Mayo or something because they got a piñata out there tailgating in the cold.
What did the piñata look like?
It was Mason Rudolph.
Dear God. Now, does it bring you back? Now, you can remember this because this one was famous. I don't remember what the game scenario was, but it was the Cincinnati Bengals and the Browns. It was a failed call by the refs. And do you remember them launching? This was actually, you know what it was? It was the one, I believe, where they stopped serving glass beer bottles and went to plastic beer bottles.
Yeah.
Start launching them at the field against. They were actually trying to hit the refs, but at this point, they were hitting everybody, including their own players. And so we had that scenario. And then I think the next game was in Cincinnati, and Weish, the coach at the time, Sam Weish, got on the microphone at the stadium and said, we're not going to, because I guess they were acting up, said, we're not going to act like this. We're
That's
not
right.
Browns fans.
I remember that.
So the Browns have a long history of showing their ass.
Obviously, their bold predictions of being a Super Bowl contender preseason and not going that well, they obviously are really showing their true colors. This is foul. You said it before when we just brought up D. Haslam donning the Myles Garrett cap. Let it die. Don't even go there. It's just not funny. I know you think you're funny, but if that's the type of humor you're into, you are a sick individual.
Well, it just shows how crappy the Browns have performed this year. Their fans bad. They got nothing for it. It was
the worst fans in the NFL, Philadelphia. You people in Cleveland are starting
to rub on their heels. That's for sure.
I don't understand. Okay, so our third and last ugly.
And this one's a fun one instead of all this
fun one
awfulness.
Instead of you all know or may not know that the Buffalo Bills
fan group has a nickname.
They go by the Bills Mafia. Yeah,
and a little shout out. One of the most famous Bills Mafia fans, and I'm missing his name, but he used to. Well, we got a buddy, Dan Cipriani, but there was a guy that always used to wear like the Rey Mysterio mask for the Bills. he actually got on ESPN. I believe he ended up getting cancer, and he passed away, I think, this past year. Passionate fan. The team gave him a lot of love. So this is kind of a cool thing. They're also known for jumping through tables. In fact, there's a really cool clip of a guy that did a fake table with his little baby and dropped his baby through a table wearing a Bills jersey. So they have a lot of fun, but you don't generally see like the stupidity and it's just rowdiness. It's a little bit of fun, not a lot of fighting. So anyway, they got this. They're known. They're a known group.
Yes, they are. So anyways, this weekend you had Buffalo playing at home against Denver. Got a good win. Quarterback Josh Allen, good day.
Yep.
And, Buffalo, New York this time of year.
It ain't warm.
Brisk. That's brisk, baby.
Yeah.
And in the crowd is a part of the Bills Mafia who's kind of donning a mask of sorts that's like the Rey Mysterio, but it's face paint. And on his belly, for Josh Allen, it says, "Our Allen is better." And... well, folks, let's just say
the words are outsized by the canvas.
Yes. I mean, again, it's cold in Buffalo. Number one, dude doesn't have his shirt on. Number two, he's not the prettiest. I mean,
He's dedicated.
Yeah, he is definitely dedicated. What was it in Stand By Me when they're talking about the Mickey Mouse Club and they're like, "Oh, Annette,
The A and E are starting to bend around the sides on
yeah,
Annette.
Yeah, that's. I look at this and the better on goes from like one side of the belly to the other, and it's like,
look, he's rocking the moves.
I mean, yeah, he's living large, folks. This guy needs to have a salad. So our ugly three of the day, Bills Mafia fat guy. Here's one to you. Toss me a couple Bud Lights and let me get a little Stone Cold Steve Austin clack over my head, chug them down, and throw them back.
Chances
at
are
you.
those Bud Lights were pulled out of a fold.
Wow. I mean, he is large and in charge.
Yeah.
Yep, this is happening today. This is happening, so enjoy that. Now, we have one more that we're going to add to our awards every week because of, well, we just like it. And, since it is legal now to celebrate in the NFL, we want to celebrate the celebrations with our Selly Award of the week. Last week, I think we had the
keg stand from our buddy Quentin Nelson on his, which ended up being was that a bad? I believe it was a bad, and only was bad because
or an ugly because he didn't score.
He didn't score on it, but it was a keg stand. It was pretty inventive. I liked it.
Yeah, so I guess the Sellies continue to want to get drunk.
Yeah,
what happened?
Alcohol framed. Well, here you tell about the game. No, I saw it, but I forget the game. Who was it that did it?
It was Detroit, I think. No, I'm sorry. It was Tennessee and Jacksonville was the game.
Okay.
And Dennis Kelly, one of the big men for Tennessee, he's I think was
right.
right
He was on the right side.
Yeah, he's a right tackle.
It was a tackle eligible play.
Yeah, he was eligible. Came in reported as eligible in terms of receiver. Down blocked, really good down block, like in terms of made a little bit of a block, more than even a chip, and had like just the perfect hesitation. The line gave
squirted out all alone.
Squirted out all alone. Tannehill tosses him a pass into the end zone. He goes. So he gets to celebrate.
And this one was a real celebration. There was no callback on this.
So he turns around. The rest of his offensive line come running at him, and he's seen like hunched over, like tossing things at him. And then they all kind of like rear back, and what it was is he was tossing them beers and they were shotgunning them because they were all cracking them and shotgunning them back. So the Selly of the week goes to Dennis Kelly, offensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans, with his beer shotgunning with the boys celebration.
Nothing more fun than people with glandular issues getting excited.
That's right. That's right. So that's going to wrap it up. We'll put this one out separate than the basic game recap. It's just under an hour. We've got some college football latest official rankings come out tonight.
Yeah, big stuff.
We'll do a little tomorrow. We'll cut our college football recap and then we'll
playoff ranking recap.
Yep. Well, we'll do the recap of. Did we do the?
We did the recap already,
do
buddy.
that already,
You've
right?
already heard this.
Oh, it's
We're not
already
going to
out
tell you
there.
the story twice.
No. Brandon Ayuk. Look for that image. Dusting Oregon cornerbacks. But yeah, so we'll do the preview for college this week, and then we'll do the college football playoff latest ranking reaction, and then we'll do our fantasy. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you as always
On the gridiron.
Have a fabulous day.